писать тонким перышком в тетрадь. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе вычитать и умножать, малышей не обижать. Учат в школе.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Woo!
Ariel.
Limbo time.
Yeah. PS236. The best school in the world.
Honey, we're moving.
Say what? That was the sound of my voice when I found that I was moving. I mean, moving, not such a big deal. But when I found that I was changing schools, that was a whole nother level. PS206, the school known for bullies. How am I gonna survive 1 year in that place? I mean, the minute I walked in, I saw the bully in 3 people's eyes, which then they turned out to become my best friends, but I'll talk about that later. I didn't really mind moving to this new school because my aunt worked there. That was a plus, but then when I actually saw the first day when I came in, people pushing other people around, this guy doing this, and everything people were doing was so bad. And the bullying for those 3 people rubbed off on me. I wasn't such a good person. I pushed people around sometimes. Maybe I treat people the way I didn't want to be treated. But then finally, enough was enough. I decided to get my grades higher. I decided to do better. I decided to study harder. Okay, I would play some video games here and there. And I changed, and this time in a good way. Well, the fact that I changed doesn't change the fact that I used to bully people. My favorite family moment was going to Disney World in Orlando. This is my favorite family moment because I went with my mom and dad, and they're divorced. And I can't help but treasure every single memory we have together. Over the years, I realized being a Russian Jew does not mean not eating pork. It doesn't mean holidays. It doesn't mean searching for matzah. It means family, tradition, kindness, neatness. Okay, and maybe just a little matzah?
When you see me, you probably, well, most likely think that I'm Dominican, Puerto Rican, Venezuelan, Brazilian, Colombian, Mexican, Spanish, African American. I was at the supermarket the other day and the lady asked if I was Arabic. I mean, I would be surprised, but it's nowhere near the first time that that's happened to me. So you're Spanish, right? Or you're Dominican, right? But out of all these assumptions of my ethnicity and of who I am, not one person in my entire life has ever asked me, yo, you're Jewish, right? There's no way I could be Jewish. I mean, just look at me, 6 feet tall with tan skin. I don't look Jewish at all, they say. And Russian? There's no way.
You're Russian?
Yes, I am.
No.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think Jewish looks like? I know. Jewish looks like me. Jewish looks like my mom. Jewish looks like my sister, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandpa, grandma. Any one of you in the audience could look Jewish. But the real question is, what does it mean to be Jewish? So let me tell you something about who I really am. I'm mixed. Now, I don't mean mixed up. I'm mixed. Like, really mixed. Polar opposite mixed. Short, tall, loud, soft-spoken, black, white, Jewish, Christian. I mean, it doesn't get more mixed than that. My father was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and my mom was born in Moscow into a Jewish family. I get the best from both worlds. I eat my mom's legendary borscht, grechnevoye kasha, galette, and my Haitian grandma's rice and beans with chicken, jus jonjon, and of course, bonhomme pesé, one of my favorite foods to this day. Every year, we light the menorah for Hanukkah, decorate our yolchka with homemade ornaments and lights. We fast for Yom Kippur, but I spend Christmases with my family too. I honor and respect both sides of the family with their traditions and customs and their, or should I say our, ancestry. My great-grandmother, Baba Shura, whose 92nd birthday I celebrated with her, survived under the dictatorship of Stalin, while her husband died as a soldier fighting for Russia in World War II. My grandfather on my father's side was an officer in the Haitian army that rebelled against the corrupt government. My great-grandfather on my mother's side was a rabbi in a small Jewish town in the Caucasus. That is what it means to be Jewish. Jewish is that 6-foot-tall kid with tan skin's heritage, his background, his ancestry, and that kid is me.
beautiful Jewish girl. I had a big nose and ears and everything. At least that's what the stereotypes. I love being Jewish. That's right. I believe in Hanukkah and celebrate. I believe in God and celebrate Hanukkah. And not Christmas. But that doesn't make me any different from any other person. I love being in a good community of Jewish ladies, like Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor. We hang out once in a while, although they are very busy. It's good to be a Jew, but not everywhere. My great-grandmother, Sophia, was a beautiful Jewish girl. She was married to an Austrian doctor, Gershon Price. They lived happily until they were separated because of the Nazis. They never saw each other again. Can you imagine not seeing your husband or wife the rest of your life? It's good to be a Jew, not everywhere.
Very interesting to think what incredible series of fortunate events brought me here. Who am I? Really, who am I? Am I just a kid standing around here? No, I'm Andre. I am the way I live, my family, my genes, and the things I say, the things I don't say, my friends, and the things I do, the things I do not. And main of all, I am me.
We don't need no false control. No dark sarcasm.
How did I end up here? What brought me to this day? Was it something I did? Something I achieved? Are my parents proud of me? You see, it's the last year of high school. Finally, I'm almost free. As the year begun, though, my case of senioritis has grown to massive, unpredictable proportions. Forget school, forget teachers, forget coming to class. I'm a free man. I already got accepted to college, so why even come to class, right? Thought it was over. But, boy, was I wrong. You see, me and my mother had a talk, and she told me that Jewish people were oppressed by who they were, being the chosen ones. She said that it's unworthy for a Jew to be on the bottom of the pack. She also told me that if my grades go up, my graduation present will be a trip to Europe with the family. Now, a trip to Europe sounds like an amazing, once-in-a-lifetime experience. And, well, I've studied hard for the past 3 years, so what is one more year, right? I mean, but I didn't account for my raging hormones. Oh, Elizabeth. For the first time, I fell in love like any normal teenager would. How could I care about homework, school, grades, friends? All I really wanted was to be liked by her. But at the same time, my trip to Europe was on the line. I felt this slipping from my grasp, along with a chance to make my mom proud. I could already see the disappointment in her eyes. No matter how much I wanted to establish a connection between Elizabeth and me, I had to get my act together and finish high school strong by studying and actually doing homework for the first time in months. But Elizabeth, oh Elizabeth, my dear, dear Elizabeth, she was such a distraction. I mean, the sad part is that I couldn't even ask her if she liked me. The worst part is I couldn't even tell her that I liked her myself. Even though my friends supported me. And most of my guy friends, who had many dates and girlfriends, tried to help me out, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. My mind blanked out. I just couldn't do it. I got to go to Europe with my family, overstaying here and getting a girlfriend. So, I mean, now I am graduating, working, going to college, trying to make something out of myself. I chose a path, and I chose to make my family proud. As for Elizabeth, well, the crazy part is that I found out she actually liked me too. How did I find out? Well, we have mutual friends who told somebody, who told me. But it's too late for chit-chat. She found her boyfriend, Mike. And she's happy with him. But I'm not happy for them. Why should I be happy? I'm just joking. Of course I'm happy for them. Happy for them. You know, opportunities in life come and go just like anything. I guess I missed this one dearly, but on the bright side, I am going to college and not everyone gets that chance. What I have to do is find my inner strength and give it a first, second, third, or unlimited amount of tries until I finally achieve what I need to achieve. One more thing, the fear of talking to girls, I am still working on that too.
I didn't like Hebrew school. In fact, I hated it. I hated driving there with my car cooled with 2 boys, with one whom I was in love with, and I got scratched by a squirrel once while going to Hebrew school. I hated Hebrew school. I hated his smell, the smell of applesauce and snot, and of forced beliefs which were the only light in the many dull people who were in that building. I hated my teachers, or as they were called. One Nora was old and stinky, and her teeth and nails had a green tint to them. And the only thing we learned in that class was how to count to 20. Kat, Stein, Charlotte. I don't know how to count to 20. That's another thing I hated. I hated learning so that I would forget. We were taught these beautiful stories with these beautiful lessons, but we would always read on the surface as if we were too stupid to understand anything else. There was one teacher, however, Maura Debbie. She was the brightest and kindest woman in that building. And we only ever learned about the Holocaust, but God, I was finally feeling something. I was finally learning what it meant to be a Jew. I was ready to get my hands dirty in the history of what it meant to be who I was. But the years before, God, I hated it. 2 hours, 3 times a week. And I hated it not because of my stinky teachers or that stupid boy. I hated it because I felt as if I was the only one who believed what they were being taught. I was taught to be scared of non-kosher chickens. I was taught to be scared of other religions because we were the chosen ones. I was taught to be scared of God because he was the one who was going to provide my health and my happiness, and he was going to give me and my family what they needed. And all of this repelled me from Judaism. And it repelled me away from my father. My father was the best and worst thing about Judaism. He was the best because he would always answer my questions, which were given to me in the form of children's books and dismissive responses all my life. We would be driving to Russian Math Academy and he'd be telling me seasonal tourist stories. But he was the worst, because I knew how much it hurt him when I didn't go to synagogue. I loved my father. He taught me how to bike, how to swim, how to be charismatic, how to be funny, how to love myself, not just as a Jew, but as Stephanie. And as Stephanie is growing, she realizes that she is a Jew. And that is part of her identity. And that it does not have to be found in Hebrew school. And it does not have to be found in synagogue. It can be found in the people who surround you and who inspire you. It can be found in music, in the beautiful songs of Leonard Cohen and Simon and Garfunkel. And it can be found within me.
A world traveler. I collect stories from one area to another. Where would you like to go today? Russia, Italy, France? I travel. I travel on the map all in my mind. I am from a family of moving. Moving is in my gene. I am a Jew. Not a typical Jew you might find in Midwood, but a Russian multicultural traveler seeking to grow, learn, and explore. I was born and raised in New York City with my twin sister, but my parents came here from USSR in 1988 with my sister Veronica, which she was only 11 years old when she came to me. I'm 13, 2 years apart. I can't imagine how hard it was for her to move here. I'm at the time where I'm asking myself questions. Who am I? What am I to give? How will I make my parents proud? Well, questions I yet don't know. But I always ask myself these questions, wondering if I can answer them, but I can't. But I always have inspiration. Maybe I should. Today, I see you on your birthday. How inspiring you are. And you too, girl.
I am my family.
I am my tradition.
I am my fears.
I am my world.
I am my bro.
I am me.
I'm Jewish. My dad's Jewish. My mom's Jewish. My grandmother and grandfather are Jewish. Even my best friend is Jewish. But almost none of us celebrate Shabbat. We often eat bacon for breakfast. In fact, I think I even had bacon for breakfast today. It's not like we don't care about Jewish customs. We just don't think that's what being Jewish is really about. We think that being Jewish is about the kibbutzing, the kvetching, the pickles, the gefilte, the klezmer, and the gemara.
Everybody in here.
My name is Ariel. I'm 12 years old. I live in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. I like steak, but I just love prosciutto. I've lived here in NYC since I was 3, when my parents moved here from Kansas. So, who am I? Let me tell you. I'm that one guy who has to play Rachmaninoff with hands the size of a 10-year-old. I have to know that by tomorrow. Trust me, I'm not even kidding. I'm that one guy who has to do well in Mandarin in a class of 80% Asians. I'm happy when I get a B+, and they're sad when they don't get a perfect score. I'm that one guy who has to have LeBron routines and pop threes when I rarely have enough time to play basketball. Oh, by the way, you know I didn't make the team last year? Because I couldn't cross the court in 4 freaking drills. So why am I that one guy? Let me tell you where I come from. My family's from Russia. In fact, my paternal side, the Russian Jewish, all the way to Italy. My great-grandfather, Yefim, lived in Swedish States when he was 18 when he went to Moscow. He left his belongings in his house and left to test out for university. When he returned, the door was locked and under seal, with the sting still inside. He never saw his uncle again. Many years later, my father searched through the now exposed archives and discovered that his uncle was shot a few months after. While Yefim was still in university, the war broke out and he got drafted into the Red Army. He was in charge of aerial photography on reconnaissance flights over enemy territory. Basically, he took pictures from planes. Well, after the war, he used this camera I have right here, the Zork HD. Speaking of after the war, he met the love of his life, he lived in college. And, you know, she was quite hot at the time, so, as my father likes to say, he just had to get her. He became her father's favorite. So, jokes aside, they had a happy marriage and they had 2 children. Anna, my grandmother, and Misha. When my father was born, he he didn't exactly have a father himself, so who other than Ephesians taught him how to fix a light bulb, how to catch a fish, how to build a bookshelf. He died a year before I was born. And I remember every single one of those nights when my father's eyes would light up and he would tell me about some time many years ago he had spent with my great-grandfather. So, why am I that one guy? Because however lazy and Netflix addicted I am, there's still some of that DNA curling inside me. The DNA of a man who left behind his peaceful country life just to get an education. He knew what he was doing. That man left behind his whole country at the age of 72. He knew what he was doing. You know why he did it? He did it for his family. I know what I come from. I know who I am. I'm a Russian Jew, and so is my family. We remember it as we sing Hava Nagila, as we break the matzah and find the Afikomen, as we light the candles on Shabbat and let the warmth embrace us. Well, we do those things like once a year, but hey, we do tell jokes about Abraham and Sarah once a week. Remember what you come from. Remember who we are.
They tell us we need to go to school and study.
They say that if we don't, we won't get the proper education.
What if it's not found in textbooks? The proper education that we need.
What if we are simply surrounded by it and we simply need to pause and embrace it?
Our background, our traditions, and our family is what we learn from.
There are no lesson plans. There are no right or wrong answers. There are no final exams.
Because the school is.
School of life.
I'm so sorry, but Arlequina rehearsal's on 7. Please don't be late, and please start your Q&A. You're wonderful.
So they say it takes a village. About a lot of things they say it takes a village. And today, as I was walking here, I really thought about, I really understood what that means, that village. And I think through that process, even though these beautiful people were going through their lives and are going through their lives, through their school of life every day from the moment you beautiful people gave birth to them. Some people 11 years ago, some people 16-year-olds, some people 28 yesterday, some people have their birthdays today. It really takes a village, and I want to thank all of you, the parents. These are not kids. These beautiful people who I'm sure they came to you and they said, where was that grandma from? What's that connection? What? She was young in Soviet Russia. How does that relate to my world today? I'm so proud of that process. That's probably one of my favorite projects in all the work we do, because we need Hamlet. We have these brilliant people writing their own monologues. So thank you. Thank you for trusting us with your kids. Thank you for trusting this process.
and really participating in the process of writing and rehearsing at home, and really raising these beautiful people who now start to question, to ask the questions. You saw how many questions we asked today. I still ask those questions. I know many of my older friends still do too, because it never stops. And so I really want to thank a few very important people and organizations that helped us put it together. This was presented by National Yiddish Theater Folks Wiener in partnership with Generation R, our partners at the JCC Manhattan, who we're thankful for beyond words. Audrey David and Jane Pug, who were not just partners, here's a space, go do it. But they really believed in the project from day one and really made sure that this is a partnership. And so, thank you, Spasiba. I want to thank Genesis Philanthropy Group, who has been supporting Folksbina RU, the Russian division of National Yiddish Theater Folksbina, for the 3rd year in a row, making this work possible. I want to thank Natan Fund, and I know some of the committee members are here with us today. Thank you for all your support. I want to thank Lost and Found Project. I want to thank Sergei Nagorny. His life worked as a drama instructor, and that seems to have worked. I want to thank Marina Radler, who is here with us today as well. She was also involved in teaching the class. She's involved in directing a very similar class, a very similar project in Brooklyn at JCH that we had last fall, and will come back hopefully next year. And now I want to open it up to some questions and answers. I know some of you may have questions about the process. How did we write this? How did we come up with it? Some questions to us, some questions to these beautiful actors. Feel free. Yes, I know. I know it may be hard. Any questions? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Something you want to share? Doesn't have to be a question. Yes. Came up with the use of the white cloth. I think I did. Essentially, the question is what it represents. What does it represent? Life. It represents, as we say in Russian, linia жизни. Something that goes on and on and on and begins as we're born and stops when we die. And that line is always like that. It's not straight. The adults know. Even we know, right? It goes like this. And so that is the white cloth that each of us has, and we all have as a community, as people. Yeah. More questions? I have a question to you guys that actually I know maybe I asked at some point, but I want to ask a few of you, whoever wants to answer. What inspired you to write this specific monologue that you had? What was the inspiration? How did you think of the material? How did it come to you? Because obviously we helped them, but they did their homework. They brought to class a almost written monologue. So I want to know what inspired you. I think Deanna was first.
Okay, well, I wrote the piece, which is the dance that I did it for, I do these dances like once a year. And this is a dance that really stood out to me because I participated in being a Jewish girl, and that like inspires me like emotionally. So I wanted to do a monologue to it because we're in this community of amazing Jewish people, and that like should inspire everyone to that because being Jewish is something that makes me good.
Yeah, go. I guess everybody wanna. Josh, go ahead.
Well, really what the main thing was moving to a different school. One, because that was kind of a hard time because being like the new kid in a school is weird. You have no friends, no one to hang out with. And the most important part that I wrote about that is you should have seen my reaction. It was hilarious.
Well, my monologue wasn't necessarily about being Jewish, because I talked about Elizabeth in school, but what really inspired me was that, first off, the thing about me is that if I start doing something, I'll forget about everything else. if I start focusing on school, I forget I have friends, everything. I just focus on school. So like this Elizabeth girl, I was
She's
so
Jewish?
That's what the parents want.
Dad.
Like I was just so in love with her, but I just couldn't tell her that. So I just, and like I knew that if I was like, I was so attracted to her that I just started forgetting that school existed, basically. So like I was just so scared because like, it was like a year, 2 years ago. I just couldn't like talk to her straight. She was just amazing on the outside and inside. You know what I mean? So I just,
She's here tonight. Listen, stand up.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to choose school over her. I mean, there's plenty of other girls I have.
Yes, no?
Yeah. So, what I really wrote about is, like, how my stuff was when I moved. I had stress. That's why I forgot to do it. I seriously. I didn't know what happened. Like, Mom, can't we go back to Israel? I don't like it. That's what I said. I wrote it because I want others to know what I felt. I started moving back home. I mean, seriously. I'm soon going back to Israel. I'm not joking.
Well, I wrote it because, as you can see, like it's not very clear to some people, and it's probably not that obvious that I'm Jewish and Russian. So I just wanted to put that in words and make it, fair.
Well, inspiration came to me because I just saw my family and I was like, wrote it down. Good. All I had.
I had no idea what I wanted to write about. I even wrote a few sentences about Bernie Sanders. No idea what I wanted to talk about. And then I had a talk with my dad, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" So he's like, "Just write about what happened to you. Just write about your story." And I figured that I did have a story in teacher school, so I did just that.
Well, I don't really have as much of an explanation as everyone, but really, I just, thought about Judaism and what it meant to me. And then I just, sort of started thinking, and, I thought it meant my great-grandfather, and it meant what I am to everybody who relates to my great-grandfather. My great-grandmother is still alive. Everybody who's related to him, basically, younger than him, are still alive. And, I thought, the relationship is very important. This whole, what Judaism means to me is I feel like the sacrifices other Jewish people made that brought me here. And, I just thought about that. I thought, my great-grandfather. And I thought about my life. And it just sort of came together.
Are there any more questions? Yes, let's take here and let's take this one after.
I have a question. I mean, it's a teen program, but obviously a lot of kids, there's a big gap in the age.
Oh yeah.
So, what did you guys learn from each other? I mean, especially the older kids, when you look at the younger ones, did you feel like because based on your performance, you all won, you did great. So how did it feel during the program?
Well, I was very hesitant about joining this program. I was on the phone with Anya, and she's like, "Yeah, they're so cute. They're like 8." And I'm like, "Oh, wow. Yay." And I 9. And so I wasn't excited at all. And when I came, there was just a connection. I have no idea how to not sound cheesy, but there was. And I feel like I've learned a lot because I feel like I have people who are going through the same things as me, and a lot of my friends are not Jewish and are not Russian Jewish, and I felt like it was a part of me that I suddenly didn't have to make fun of anyone, and that I could finally embrace even if they were half my age, and that's okay, and all of them are so brilliant, so that's nice.
Let's start for you and go. Start from Andrea.
So,
How did you feel about the age gap? Some people are older, some people are younger.
Well,
What did you learn from each other?
I didn't really know how old everyone was. I am like, okay, am I the only one here? What am I going to do? Well, I did have another theater club, but it didn't really or anything. This one was amazing. But the gap, when I noticed, like everyone was, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so young here. Everyone's like older than me. I'm like the younger one. So I got, and also about the show, I was like worried. I'm like, oh my god, this can't make it.
Thank you. Brian.
Well, I was in the Lost and Found program for like a year already. Like I did it for 2 sessions, I believe. So I performed 200 monologues before. And based on the one I did in JCH in Brooklyn, all the kids were like in my age group. This is my first time doing it in the city where there's young kids and older kids. And did I answer the question?
It worked out. Good. Josh.
I'm the youngest kid here. Well, Andre is 9, but he's older than me. And when I saw how everyone is like, I'll explain. Mom, he's 18, I'm 9, let's go. That's how I felt.
Deanna.
So, I've been in like another theater group also, and it's like people like the same age, they put us in a category with like people who are the same like age as me. So when I walked in the first day, it was like really weird because it was people who were like this tall, this tall, this tall, and I was just in there in the middle, I was just like, hi. And like when I found out that Brian was 18, I was just like, wow, just like 13 years old. But I mean, like it's fun being in a group of people where you know that you're gonna be like together, and no matter how old you are, it's gonna be like the same thing.
Theater, connecting people. Yes, Ariel.
Well, really, I didn't care about my here, so I was very confused when Stephanie came and read a monologue because I thought she was like one of the teachers. And then like, yeah, but the age difference, like I know Nikita, I know Stephanie like wrote the music, so she was basically, you know, although she was basically an actor like us, she had her equal part of the teaching sort of sense of it. And I just felt like
Good. Daniel? And then we move to the last question.
I actually the first time I walked in, I'm like, well, everyone looks different. Everybody's small and tall, but my age. But I actually didn't actually want to like ask what their age was because I preferred like my brain to think that everybody was the same age. That's what I did. And at the end, I asked for the age, and we were 18, 16, 12, 13, 8, 9.
oh god.
Yeah, that's all it was. I didn't care.
Last question, I believe, Audrey?
Yeah. did any of you find this cathartic in any way? Was it?
Please explain.
Age difference, okay, 18 and 9.
Like, did this feel like in any way like a relief or some sort of like? Did you feel like you got something out that you had never expressed before, or never?
Like maybe this project changed something in your transformative experience. Did you feel that this was a transformative experience? Let's go from here on there.
So it was kind of interesting because my monologue started out completely different. And it was only about really my grandfather and like old Judaism and like how it connected to me. But then sort of CJ helped me like connect it to me more. And so, I mean, I always used to start on my grandfather since I was like really little. Because he meant a lot to my dad. And like, I mean, now I sort of feel like it means a lot to me.
Yeah, well.
So, going back to like the inspiration for my monologue, I felt really disconnected with Judaism. As you can tell, I was writing about politics, and that had nothing to do with the show. But it felt like a release because at school, my like Judaism would be something funny, and it can be funny, and it's very funny, but it can also be, you can look at it more intimately, and that's nothing to be embarrassed about, and you can look at it more personally, and I felt like I finally had the freedom to do that, and it felt really good.
Next, Andre?
Mine, I did kind of change my feelings about more like that's not okay. Now I'm feeling like the opportunity to get Israel is pretty low because the tickets cost a lot. The opportunity is very low because, I mean,
Somebody get this man a scotch.
We'll go to Heathrow with you.
We're all gonna come with you.
So, what I did really is I answered questions. My monologue was, just as Ariel said, it's completely different. And I couldn't edit it because I didn't know how.
Okay, good. Thank you. Brian?
Can you just make one comment?
Yes.
I want to thank you and Sergey for the opportunity. I don't know about other kids, but looking at Josh, like I know he changed them over last 16 weeks. I think he found new friends. He looked out to like Brian. I know we've driven you home a few times. Brooklyn and long, traffic and everything. So, and I see them communicating, and they kind of, even though he's 18 and this one is 9, but they're communicating almost on the same level, and they think it has to do with the program. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to add just a couple of things. I want to say thank you for being so brave. Thank you for stepping in both as actors, writers, creators, set builders, and designers.
Look, it's still standing.
It's this
is the thing we were most afraid of. Like, this is gonna fall, someone's gonna get hurt, everyone's gonna get sued. So we spent like half a rehearsal figuring out like, all right, who's got the science skills to make this construction stand?
Like the work is coming right there.
And I do want to feature a very special person who was with us, Stephanie, who wasn't just an actress, it wasn't just a participant, but she really composed the music you heard tonight. It means a lot. I've never had one of the young actors, one of the teens, come to me and say, I'm a composer, can I compose the music? And I say, let's give it a try. And for a few times, obviously we worked with teens a lot, and a few times Sophia and I were like, well, is she really gonna write? Like, we don't know, she's so busy, there's SATs, there's exams. You heard it, right? I don't need to say more, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Last but not least, we have a very special surprise for the parents and the wonderful actors that was made by a legendary, amazing photographer, who made those beautiful books called School of Life that have brilliant portraits that he took in between and during sessions that we had of these beautiful actors in character with their quotes from their monologues. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. And we invite everybody to join us at the Teen Center, a floor below.
No, same floor.
Same floor?
Straight here.
Down,
You go on
no?
this way.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was there before.
Yeah, don't go up, go this way.
Basically, you exit and you'll